Beyond diet, we have always used probiotics with autoimmune patients. And so we recommend them for Parkinson's patients too. Probiotics have been shown to actually help. We have some research showing that it makes things better for Parkinson's patients, restoring the microbiome, which stands to reason. If a hallmark, if there's a microbiome fingerprint that's associated with Parkinson's disease, that much more pathogenic bacteria and not so many good guys in the microbiome, it would stand to reason that reversing that should be helpful. And by the way, you have to do it with probiotics. In other words, your body doesn't make these bacteria. Fermented foods do not contain them. Fermented foods can be part of feeding a healthy microbiome, but you could never eat them and it would be okay as well, just for the record. So you have to actually take the bacteria. And so we always recommend that Parkinson's patients take them. It's shocking, but to some people, but caffeine can actually be protective. There are some studies that show that. Caffeine enhances dopamine signaling in the brain. So I don't think that Parkinson's patients should take up caffeinated beverages as part of their treatment plan, but I don't think we should spend a lot of time talking them out of it either. And just for the record, that holds true for other things. One of my colleagues wrote a very long, like 24-page referenced article on coffee, and showed that you don't want to take up the habit if you don't like it, but it's beneficial enough, more benefit than harm shown, and beneficial enough that you don't want to spend a lot of time talking people out of drinking coffee either. 61 people with Parkinson's took either a placebo pill twice a day or 100 milligram caffeine pill twice a day for 3 weeks, and then they increased it. Results at 6 weeks, the caffeine group averaged a 5-point improvement on a rating scale of Parkinson's symptom severity, averaged a 3-point improvement in the speed of their movements and the amount of stiffness they experienced compared to those who took placebo. Again, I don't think I'd recommend coffee drinking to people who don't like it, but no reason to restrict it to people who don't. And you can also get caffeine from green and black and oolong tea as well. Now, here are some of the challenges in taking care of a Parkinson's patient that you need to be aware of if you have a family member who has Parkinson's or if you're in the healthcare business yourself. Inability to eat enough. Eating is a lot of work. And so the texture of foods can be really important, and smoothies and things that blended foods can be helpful. And blended foods can help to increase caloric intake without increasing the volume of food. You can add avocado and tofu and just blend it all together. Difficulty chewing, again, an argument for blended foods. Difficulty swallowing, an argument for blended foods. And sometimes for advanced patients, they do have to be tube fed. Inability to shop and prepare food. When we get people early stage, they can be much bigger participants in their life without so much help from family and friends. But when we get advanced patients, to the extent that you still want to stop the progression if you can, particularly if the person is mentally sound and could actually live independently or outside of a care home would be a better term for it, for the rest of their lives, they would have to have help. And family, community, and church are where the help comes from. And I can't tell you how many people I've recommended join a church to get some community support, not just for this, but for many other things as well. And social interaction is so important to the welfare, the well-being, is a better way to put it, of humans, that for many people, it's a place to meet people for social support. Inadequate water intake. Parkinson's patients sometimes don't keep track of it very well. It's difficult to drink water if you've got tremor. And then drug nutrient interactions, specifically protein. And of course, the thing that we're always up against when we talk about these things is the neurologist or the doctor who's treating the Parkinson's patient saying, oh, diet doesn't have anything to do with it. Whoever told you this crazy idea about it's kind of like autoimmune, and probiotics are good if you take an antibiotic, but they have nothing to do with it here. So we constantly have to listen to that chorus. But if the family is on board and has seen some of this evidence, they can make a huge difference. Gastrointestinal challenges, changes in muscle function can lead to gastroparesis, actually this very slow transit of food through the system. Small, frequent, lower fat meals are helpful. I mean, the problem with fat is fat slows the transit of food through the body. It's a bad idea for anybody. It's a bad idea for me, and there's nothing the matter with me. I'm in perfect health, right? But it's a very bad idea for the Parkinson's patient because they tend to suffer from constipation anyway. So small, frequent, low-fat meals are helpful. Enteral feeding is sometimes required. They often experience reflux, early satiety. It doesn't take much to make them feel full. Their appetite shrinks a lot, nausea and vomiting. You might have to restrict things like red and black pepper, fat, coffee, and alcohol. And I said coffee could be beneficial, but if it causes reflux, it's not. Candied ginger or peppermint are good for nausea. And even peppermint essential oil rubbed onto the upper lip, the scent of it, if the person still has a strong sense of smell, can be very helpful. By the way, the early satiety comes from constipation and gastroparesis. In other words, food not moving through the system quickly. Some of you who've been eating a plant-based diet for a long time, like I have been, probably noticed that when you're eating a low-fat plant-based diet, you have to eat more frequently because the fiber moves everything through the system quickly. So every 3 to 4 hours, you need more food. Well, the constipated patient with Parkinson's disease who also is suffering from gastroparesis, it takes a lifetime. I mean, it just seems like an eternity for things to move through the system. The medications that are prescribed throughout the course of the disease can cause nausea, anorexia, and vomiting, make the person just not want to eat. And then you get into the cycle of not eating, no energy, feel like crap. The person becomes increasingly difficult to motivate to do better for themselves because they just feel terrible all the time. One thing that does make a difference is exercise. It improves symptoms and outcomes. Group exercise is helpful because it reduces depression. Being around people is therapy. It is some of the best therapy around. Land-based and land-based plus water-based exercise programs are helpful. It can improve the gait for the Parkinson's patient. Tai Chi is a traditional Chinese martial art. Probably have heard of it. It combines deep breathing and relaxation with slow movements that maintain postures. It's been shown to improve balance, posture, and strength. 195 subjects with Parkinson's were randomized to Tai Chi or just a regular resistance training and general exercise. All groups showed improvement in motor function at the end of the 6-month period, but the Tai Chi group was actually statistically better in terms of postural stability and fewer falls. And that's another thing, in addition to the cognitive decline that can land a person in a facility, is that their inability to be stable enough to even walk around to do the daily functions needed for life. A single blinded trial with 6 months of follow-up Tai Chi improved balance and decreased falls. Parkinson's patients participating in Tai Chi showed improvement in non-motor symptoms, motor function, and improved quality of life. They were more likely to continue physical activity than those who participated in strength training or stretching. And so you not only have the challenge of getting people to exercise, but if they can't find something that they like doing, they won't stick with it very long, particularly when you're as challenged as the Parkinson's patient is with movement in general. Some studies show small benefit and some don't show much at all, but Tai Chi is inexpensive. There's no reason not to do it. And any movement that helps the person stay balanced, build some balance, coordination, prevent falls, and that sort of thing is good. Qigong is an Asian practice that combines the practice of meditation and focused movement in order to move energy through the body. It's not very well researched for Parkinson's patients, but we do have one non-blinded randomized controlled trial that showed short-term improvement in motor control and quality of life as compared to controls. The effect was not sustained over time, but that really is meaningless because there is no carryover effect of exercise if you stop it. In other words, wouldn't it be great if people could exercise until they were 30 years old and sit back and they just could live forever with, you have to keep doing it. So that's not a particularly meaningful thing, but it was reported in the study. Only one high quality trial. It didn't show Qigong to be better than aerobic exercise, but the Parkinson's patient may be willing to do Qigong more than aerobic exercise. And by the way, the exercise that somebody will do, I said this before, becomes very important. So finding something that the person will stick with, whoever the person is, whatever age they are, and whatever they're afflicted with. Participants randomized into either an agility boot camp or treadmill training 4 times a week for 4 weeks. Both showed similar improvement in function in turn duration, stride velocity, peak arm speed. These are just all measurements of the progression of Parkinson's. Patients participating in physical activity showed improvements in cognitive functions as well. And part of the reason for that is exercise stimulates the production of something called brain-derived neurotropic factor. And it's one of the reasons why exercise is such an important thing for people recovering from addiction and alcoholism and that sort of thing. Exercise does really make you smarter. I exercise almost every day. It's why I'm so smart. I'm just kidding, actually. 15 participants with Parkinson's disease completed 16 weeks of high-intensity exercise training. The objectives were to address strength, power, endurance, balance, and mobility. There were improvements in body strength, leg power, single leg balance, sit-to-stand motor unit activation. Remember when I said earlier, getting up out of a chair is very challenging for patients. Parkinson's disease quality of life scale, and fatigue severity. All good things, right? Systematic review of 33 randomized trials with over 1,500 participants. A wide variety of things ranging from just general physiotherapy to treadmill to martial arts, etc. And everything improved. No particular exercise was better than another. And in my opinion, the exercise that is better than another is the one that the Parkinson's patient or whoever we're dealing with is willing to engage in.